Hey guys, 1 minute. We had login issues, just setting it up.
Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
Hi guys. Okay, we had little login issues, so this is starting off. 1 second, let me mute. Yeah. Okay, so today we have Mr. Raghu Murthy with us. He's from Edelweiss AMC. He comes with a vast experience of 25 years almost, and quite known to me personally as well. I have been fortunate to have learned a lot of things from him, the historic past. So I'm glad to have him here. That's wonderful. Okay, I'll not waste too much of time over this. Let me just hand over the stage across to Mr. Raghu. Ragumurthy while others joined. We had little trouble adding people across, some issues on logging in. We'll start off. Over to you, Mr. Raghu.
Hi, Chandan. Can you hear me? Am I
Yes, we
audible?
can hear you.
Great. So, good evening, and thank you very much, Chandan, for giving me an opportunity to address your team. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe. So, I know that we are already late, but let's get into the discussion for today. Investing in international markets, why it's important to look at international market. I have a very short presentation, should not take more than 15 to 20 minutes at max, and then we will open it up for Q&A. Just a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. So the topic given to me by Chandan is investing into international markets. And before we get in, let's understand why it's important to invest in offshore markets. And these are some of the reasons which is important for us to look at offshore markets. One is there are a lot of good companies. Of course, we have a lot of companies in India, but there are also a lot of good companies which are and maybe some sectors which are not available in India. And if you want to invest, you need to invest outside the Indian boundaries. So one reason why one should look at offshore investing is to access some companies, good companies, which are not present in India. And the second reason is all of us know about importance of diversification. We know that within India, we need to diversify across asset classes. But within asset classes also, we need to diversify, and we will understand it more in the following slides. And the third most important is hedging INR, because most of the assets what we hold, and if you have to liquidate, you get back INR. You don't get any other currency. So most of our assets are in rupee denominated currency. So all of us know about these companies, needs no explanation. Many of these companies' products and services we use in India. These are some of the best businesses which is not available in India. Amazon, Apple, Coca-Cola, most of you could relate to this brands. And investing in offshore markets is not easy. It needs a lot of research and understanding those exchanges and the rupee dollar conversion. It's a cumbersome process. So today, you have a choice of investing into these companies through mutual funds which invest into offshore markets. Now, this is a very interesting slide, and why it's important to diversify. And we all know that different markets do well at different points of time. The way to read this chart is you have the calendar year returns here. You can see here 2009 all the way up to 2019. The ones which are at the top are the best performing markets, and that's in that order. So if you have to look at the year 2017, which is very fresh in our memories, China did extremely well in that year, followed by Korea, and India also we know did extremely well in 2017. So I would request you to pay attention to the second last column on your right, which is the 10-year annualized return. So you can see over the last 10 years, US has been one of the best performing market, which has given almost 13.6% return. All these returns are in dollar terms. It's all converted to dollars. So if you have to look at India over the last 10 years, the Indian markets gave return of about 4%. China has given about 3.2%. If you look on the right-hand side, the extreme right, which is the annualized volatility, which is not the return, it's a volatility. So though US did extremely well in 2000 over the last 10 years, if you look at the volatility, it also has lower volatility compared to other markets. I'm not saying that one should put all the money in US market or any market outside India, but it's important to diversify across geographies. And you can see that though the return has been higher for US, but the volatility is much lower. So diversification is important because each region or each markets perform well at different points of time. Now, also this is a correlation. This slide talks about the correlation between the Indian, and we have taken here for offshore market, we have taken US. If you look at the correlation between India and US over the last many years, since 1990, the correlation is very low. So by adding, for example, a US fund into existing Indian portfolio, you are not adding risk because the correlation is much lower. Now, let's go the third reason why we feel that it's important to look at offshore investing is hedging against INR. Most of the assets what we own, they are all rupee denominated assets. And you can see here over the last many years, since 1973, the rupee depreciation versus dollar has been in the range of 3.5 to 4%. And many of your clients do have expenditures which is coming in dollars. Maybe they are having a foreign vacation, or they're sending their children for overseas studies, and most of these expenses are in dollars. So some bit of your portfolios should be exposed to currencies other than INR. So that's where offshore investing becomes very important. Now let's see a scenario. Let's assume if somebody had put money in S&P 500, which is a broad market for US, and over the last 13 years, if you had put money, the return is about 8.8%. Similarly, if you had put all the money in Indian market, and let's take for Indian market, the representation is Nifty 50. So you can see Nifty 50 over the last 10 years has given in rupee terms about 10.5%. The 8.8% is in dollar terms. Okay, the 10.5% return of India is in rupee terms, which is the last column, CAGR returns. Now, if you add the USD appreciation against INR over the last 13 years, it's about 3.7%. So the total return which you would have got in INR terms, which is the last right-hand side column, is 13.6% versus Nifty, you would have got only about 10.5%. But if you had a blended portfolio, which is 80% Nifty and 20% in US, your returns would have improved from 10.5% to 11.9%. Now at Edelweiss, we have partnership with two large, foreign asset management companies. One is we have a partnership with JP Morgan Asset Management, where we run 6 offshore funds. We have a fund called US Technology Fund. That's a fund which we are going to discuss today. And we will see how the diversification story plays out in this fund. The second fund which we have with JP Morgan is a US Value Fund. We have a fund called as Edelweiss Greater China Fund, ASEAN Fund, Emerging Market Fund, and the last one is the Europe Dynamic Equity Offshore Fund. These are the 6 funds which we run in partnership with JP Morgan. We also have recently launched a fund with Morgan Stanley, so MSCI. We have launched a passive fund called Edelweiss MSCI India Domestic and World Healthcare 45 Index Fund. So this is the first passive fund in the healthcare theme, where this fund has a global exposure of up to 30%. Now let's come to the fund which we are going to cover today, which is the Edelweiss US Technology equity fund of fund. Before that, let's see whether this story, what I just spoke about, which is access to some of the great companies, which is not listed in India. Second, we spoke about diversification. It's important to diversify where the correlation is very low. The third point, which we talked about, is hedge against INR. So let's see whether this actually plays out in this fund. So let me take you to the slide. This is an interesting slide. I hope everybody can see this slide. This is a risk reward frontier for 10 years. Okay. And all the returns have been converted to INR. So you don't have to worry about the rupee dollar conversion here. It's all converted to INR here. So the way to read this is the x-axis is the standard deviation. Okay. Or the volatility. On the y-axis, you can see, just a minute, please hold on. Deepak, I'm in a session with Wealthy team. I'll finish this and call you up. Sure. Okay, done, bye. Hello? Chandan, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, great. So the x-axis is the standard deviation and the y-axis is the return. You can see a brown color, a triangle there, which is a Nifty 50 index, which is a representative of Indian equity market. And then you can see a blue color triangle, which is the technology fund. Okay. Now let us try to understand how to read this one. So the Nifty 50 over the last 10 years has given a return of closer to about 8%. Okay. And you can see the standard deviation is roughly about 17.7%, around 17.7. Now let us look at the technology fund, which is a blue color triangle there. So the technology fund over the last 10 years has given a return of about 22% with a standard deviation of about closer to 19. So one of the inference we can take from this particular slide is Nifty 50 in terms of return, it is lower compared to the technology fund, much lower. But in terms of standard deviation, it is less volatile compared to the technology fund. Okay. Now we have given different blends of the technology fund with Nifty. So let us look at the arrow which is pointed towards the orange color circle, which is a blend of 20% JP Morgan technology fund and 80% Nifty 50. Okay. Now let us see what happens to the return. Obviously, when you add a fund which is generating a higher return, returns on the portfolio, the blended portfolio has to be higher. So the return goes up to almost 11% plus. Surprisingly, the standard deviation has also come down. You can see the standard deviation from 17.7, it has come down to about closer to 16. So by adding the technology fund, the standard deviation has reduced. Okay, the return has improved. So now let us go to the next slide. So this is the one. Okay, so this is what I was speaking about. You can see the row number 1, Nifty 50 return over last 10 years, 7.79. Standard deviation is about 17.7. Sharpe ratio is at 0.12. And the max drawdown, this is the from the peak to the trough, what has been the maximum drop in the return. So it tells you that it is about minus 29. Okay. Similarly, if you go to the bottommost row, which is JP Morgan Technology Fund, and if you look at the same stats, return is about 22%, standard deviation is about 18.96, and the maximum drawdown is minus 21, almost like minus 21. Again, if you look at the row number 3, which is 20% JP Morgan US Tech and 80% Nifty 50, you can see the maximum drawdown also comes down. So by adding this fund in your existing client portfolio, you are not adding risk, you are actually reducing risk and improving the returns. Now let's go to the fund and understand more about this fund. What is this fund all about? This fund invests into some of the mega trends which are happening in the technology space. Some of these mega trends probably most of you could relate to. We are in the IT city of India, IT capital of India. You can see these are the mega trends like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, autonomous car machines, electronic payments, over-the-top streaming, and 5G technology. Okay, and this mega trends probably after 5 years, if you have to look at this fund portfolio, you will probably find a different mega trends playing out next 5 years. Okay, you may not see this trends in the next 5 years. So it's a fund which is very dynamic and which will invest into trends which are mega trends which are happening in the technology space. So again, this is another representation of where this fund will actually invest. You can see on the left, the penetration rate of the technology. On the right, extreme right, you can see the various stages of adoption. So this fund will not invest where the penetration rate of the technology is very high. For example, you can see the PC, laptop, smartphone, tablets. These are already, the penetration rate is almost closer to that 60–70%, and it's already a matured market. There's nothing which is unique or where the margins are going to be very, very less. Competition is very intense. Neither this fund will invest into pre-adoption or which are in early stage of pre-adoption, which is not in the tech. I would say where it is not listed, it's being tested. Okay, so some of the current trends where this fund is going to invest, you can see there: autonomous machines, virtual reality, augmented reality, autonomous cars, artificial intelligence, 5G, electronic payments, cloud computing, digital transformation, and OTT. Now, when the fund manager looks at a company, these are some of the 4 filters, or these are the 4 attributes which he would look at. One is it should be a disruptive model or a disruptive technology. That's the first thing, first attribute. The second attribute is, okay, the technology could be disruptive, but does it have a large addressable market? That's the second attribute the company should have. And the third thing, very important, is whether the technology is sustainable in medium to long term. And finally, which is most important, is the proven management team. So these are some of the attributes the fund will try to look at, and based on these attributes, the fund will buy the stock in the portfolio. Now, let me come to the return. This is a Morning 5-star rated fund, and the returns have been very, very impressive. So you can see the long-term returns of this fund has been very impressive. So with that, I will stop here and would be happy to take any questions from the team.
Thank you very much. You kept it brief and nice.
Yeah.
Glad.
Because you had given me 15 minutes, so I planned it that way.
Yeah, that's a format of our thing, that we keep it very crisp. But then I think it's very interesting to hear. I mean, one thing which I probably was also an insight for me is that how you guys discover stocks and go about investing in those stocks. And even it's not just plain vanilla US stocks. It's handpicked stocks based on good ideologies that's fitted in. Good. I'll probably open the floor for Q&A. Those who have questions, probably you know the format. You can put it on the chat box, or you can raise your hands, or you can unmute yourself. And post
it out. Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. To start with, I think great insight. I was looking at this fund to invest myself. So, so thank you so much. A couple of questions I have. One is, while, we were discussing and you were sharing this, I just went to, online, and I was looking at this fund and looking at the holdings. So, I was looking at the growth. I think it look, in last a year or two, it's almost, has given 50-70% return. So it's already at peak. So, and also US elections, are there, so there'll be volatility in next few weeks or months. At the same time, there could be fluctuations in the dollar, as well. So keeping all of that in mind, should we wait for a few weeks to advise someone or to invest ourselves in that, or will this be a good time?
See, I would say that one definitely, you're right that the valuations are looking. One, let me just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold on. Just hold.
I work for JP Morgan myself, but I didn't realize that
Oh,
there is this fund. Either there are some stock
just
options we
hold.
get.
Acha, just hold on. Just hold on.
Sure.
I'm just trying to put a slide now. Just hold on.
Simultaneously, you look at that. Sorry, just one. I mentioned two questions. The other question I had is I was keeping a track of. There was a fund. I think some Parag something. They also had one fund which invests in a global market. If you have insight about that, would you be able to differentiate?
I don't know, because still I think it has some domestic component in that.
Okay.
So I don't know much about that fund, but let me just put this slide on the valuation parameter, what you just asked me. So let me just put that slide. Just hold, just give me a minute. I'm just putting up the slide. So that'll answer your valuation question. Just I'm putting it up on the, just hold on. I'm just putting it up now. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen?
Not at
Yeah, nothing has come.
Now?
Not yet.
Now?
No, not yet.
In fact, it was on. It's gone off.
Just hold on. Screen. Let me just share screen broadcast. I don't know. Everything on your screen will be recorded. Why it is not taking? Anyway. So to answer your question on valuation, valuations are higher for technology companies. One reason for that is if you look at the S&P 500 index and the earnings forecast for the S&P 500 index for this year, which is 2020, is minus 20. Okay. Now let us look at the technology space. The earnings growth forecast for technology companies for this calendar year is plus 3%. There are only 3 sectors in S&P 500 which will post a positive earnings growth this year. One is the consumer staples, healthcare, and the third one is technology. Okay, and if you look at the forecast for calendar year 2021, okay, again these 3 sectors are expected to see growth in earnings. And the expectation is that 2021, these sectors, the technology, healthcare, and staples, will post better earnings growth numbers compared to even calendar year 2019. Okay, so that's the reason the valuations will look good, are looking higher. But if you look at Apple, if you most of you would own an Apple, if you look at Apple launched the iPhone in calendar year 2007, and the stock went up, okay, quite massively, and then the next model didn't click, and the stock fell almost minus 61 in 2009. But probably when it fell by 61% in 2009, probably that would have been the best time to pick up Apple, right? But if you look at the journey of Apple stock from 2006 till now, okay, had you invested from the beginning, from 2006, and see the returns and compare it with S&P 500, it has gone up 8 times higher than S&P 500. Had you invested, let's assume you were completely, I'm saying you are right, I'm saying, you had invested at the fall, at that minus 60, sorry, when it fell by minus 61, and if you had invested at that point of time, the return on Apple stock would be at more or less in the range of 7 to 8 times compared to S&P 500. But if you had entered at the peak, which was in 2007, still you would have made 6 times higher returns than S&P 500 index. So the one way to look at is, if you feel it is, you want to put it later, you can put it later. Elections are just, it's on November 3rd or November 4th. The one way of participating in this fund is through, I would say, look at participating through STP or an SIP route, because the markets are going to be volatile in the next 6 to 8 months. So I'm saying, even if you look at India, maybe again you should look at staggering your investments over the course of next 6 to 8 months or 6 to 12 months kind of a period.
Got that. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me just add something, Jitendra. So we have the switcher option. Edelweiss as well as the other US fund is part of that. So you can use that switcher option over 9 months or 6 months as recommended, and you can stagger that investment across.
All right, great. Thanks.
Next question. Yeah, I have one question which actually came up in my personal chat box. Can US NRIs invest into this fund?
There are certain documentation they can invest. There's a documentation required. Visa stamping and all is required. They can invest. Can you see this slide now?
Yeah, it's visible. Yes.
So you can see those. You can see consumer staples, healthcare, and tech. Right. That is, if you look at the gray bars, okay, they are the only ones which are up. All the other bars are down. You can see energy is down, industrial is down, consumer discretionary is down. And then you can see those blue colored diamonds there. That is the earnings estimate for 2021 relative to 2019. So you can see those 3 sectors, like utility is up, utilities, consumer staples, healthcare, and technology. They are expected to post higher earnings compared to 2019. That's the way to read this. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. And this is a valuation of the sectors. All sectors, you know, if you look at barring, I think, financials and healthcare and real estate. Okay. And you can see those blue color diamond, that is the current PE. And then you can see those green color bar, horizontal bar, that is a 15-year average. So barring only few sectors, most of the sectors, their current PE is higher, including technology. But you know, technology is posting positive earnings growth in 2020 and expected to do better than expected to do better in 2021 compared to 2019. That's how you have to read this chart. And this fund, and all of us know how technology is reshaping various industries today, from energy to industrial. You know, industrial, you know, you are using more robotics, you know about electric cars, financials. In financial, you know, we are talking about digital payments, AI application. Even in healthcare, you know, you are using technology, right? In consumer, like, you know, you're buying things, you know, you're using internets. Then of course, gaming. So you can see these are the, this was what I was talking about, Apple. If you had bought at that bottom, your return is about 7 to 8 times from that bottom. But if you had bought it at the peak of 2007, still your return is almost higher than, is up 5 to 6 times higher than the S&P 500 from the peak. So this is the thing. And you can see the holdings in 2005, 2010, 2015, and what is the current holding of this fund. It's a very dynamic, you know, it keeps changing. Some of the old technologies, you don't find it in 2020. You don't see Texas, you don't see Motorola, you don't see Intel. So this is the current top 10 holdings.
Any other questions, guys? Okay. Yes. Maybe we'll keep connecting with you. They're still digesting the facts across. Can you throw a little light on, you know, how could be the dollar risk on investing in these kind of funds, and how do we mitigate that?
So I showed you that. Let me just go to. I shared that slide earlier. Just hold on.
No, verbally you can just.
So on an average, if you look at the last 10 years, rupee has depreciated close to anywhere between 3.5 to 4%. It's not a disorderly depreciation, but if you look at the gradual depreciation, it's in the range of 3 to 4%, Chandan.
Yes.
So a depreciating rupee adds to the return, portfolio return.
So that 4% would come in as an additional bonus.
Additional return. Bonus. Yeah. And the view is that in the next couple of years, rupee will continue to depreciate versus dollar. So only, I think, where it can go up is where India will post a very, very high growth trajectory. And if we can keep the inflation low, and if we can attract FDI flows, then there's a possibility that rupee will appreciate versus dollar. But I think short to medium term, there'll be a gradual depreciation of rupee.
Yeah, in fact, on our Monday session, I'm just connecting the dots across.
Yeah.
We were having a discussion on how the money supply has been changed in US, how US is increasing dollar in different ways, and basically that how new currencies is getting added to the US economy and liquidity is getting driven up there. I think that's this makes it a very good. Of course, it was not by design. It just happened by fluke that we're having both the conversations back to back.
Yeah.
So the previous one, I guess, guys, it's what's very important there is with liquidity coming into the US environment and so much of money flow. Eventually, yes, that kind of money will also flow into emerging economies. We will also get benefited as a country.
Yeah.
But within US itself, I think the 2021 looks much more beautiful, especially like what Mr. Raghu was mentioning to healthcare and to tech industry. That's going to be the biggest beneficiaries across, and these funds probably will have much better advantage. Plus the 4% add-on, if at all, even if we presume that if it's not 4%, even it's 2.5% appreciation that would come in from dollar, that's still a great return to add to customers' portfolios across.
Correct. And let me put that. Let me put this slide for you, which gives you some sense on the dollar rupee equation. Let me just put that. Can you see this one? Can you see this one slide?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, so the way to read this is you can see on the right, 4x above long-term average, 4x below long-term average. Okay, so now if you see the US dollar is actually at a premium. You can see the US dollar.
Yes.
US, you can see US, the third on from the right. Okay, then next to US is India. Okay, you can see the average, you can see. Okay, and you can see those orange color diamond there. Okay, so you can see the diamond is actually on the upper side, which means that rupee can, this is a, this term is called as real effective exchange rate, REER, real effective exchange rate. So rupee is currently trading at a premium. So there is scope for rupee to depreciate. That's what it is saying, including US. Okay. So the view, what you can frame from this particular slide is, if rupee depreciates from here, if you see rupee sliding to 76, 77, 80, you need not be too worried, because, you know, if you look at the basket of currencies which rupee is traded versus, it is not, you know, it's traded at a premium versus its trading currencies, right? So if it depreciates, it's fine. There's nothing to worry. It's actually trading at a premium currently.
Great input. Great input. It's a nice, wonderful slide.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, guys. Any more questions? I think fair enough. I like not on the chat box. Yeah, nothing out there as well. So fair. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Raghu.
My pleasure.
Wonderful
always.
Having you. And I always find it very knowledgeable every time I interact with you offline or sessions.
Thank you,
like
Chandan.
this. Always been. I still recollect going back to 2000 when you came up and gave me the first dope of knowledge to current date.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandan. Thank you very much. Stay safe.
Yeah.
I will be in touch. Bye.
You guys. Bye.